Hello and welcome back to GR Corolla Parts. Today is an exciting day. We are installing some new parts on our new GR Corolla. Super excited about this one. This is from Forge Motorsport. They are based out of the UK. I did notice that they had a lot of different parts for the GR Yaris, which shares the same engine and really platform as this car. So I hit them up to try to see if we could carry their products on our site, and they did one better for us. They actually sent all this stuff pre-production or pre-confirmation that it fits this car, just so we can go ahead and test it and make sure everything works. If there are any notes or adaptations we need to make, we can send that information back to them so that it fits perfect. So today we are going to be installing their dump valve, which is like an atmospheric blow-off valve. We have the short shifter adapter. So this is a little different than a typical one where the shifter actually goes into the transmission. So this has the linkage that goes from the cabin to the transmission. So we're gonna install this right on that linkage into the transmission. We have their upper airbox induction kit. So this is really cool. It's got a nice carbon fiber top to it. We got a nice cone filter. The cool part about this as well is it keeps the factory lower airbox. So if you guys don't know, there's actually a small flap, like a solenoid that opens to allow more air in when there's more throttle being applied to the car. So it keeps that function. I like that. And it also looks great, and we get that nice cone filter, more air into our engine. The last part we're gonna be installing today is their turbo inlet adapter, as opposed to the factory plastic one. I think they call it an adapter because they do offer this with a larger opening on the turbo inlet side. So if you wanted to do like a larger turbo upgrade, you could. We just went with the factory one for now because there's only 350 miles on this. I'm not really trying to get into replacing the turbo. And on top of that, I don't really know if there's many tuning options for this car yet. I do know a few different companies have broken into the software, but I don't know if it's really accessible to somebody like myself right now. So all this stuff should be just fine to run. Obviously I'm still breaking the car in. I know modern cars don't really need that, but I want to give it a little more miles before I get on it. And I don't feel as though this intake should have a negative impact on that without needing a tune. Same with the dump valve. I might put that on and take it off. We'll see. Just keep the factory one for now. And then eventually we have this bad boy right here. This is their front mount intercooler. So this is advertised as not needing any trimming to the bumper. This should fit exactly in the space that's available in there. So I'm super excited to do this. I am gonna be waiting a little bit to install this just until we can tune it, but I might put it on before then just so we can get some nice videos and photos for you guys, so that when you get to that point and tuning is more accessible to normal folks, you guys know what to do with this. So today we're gonna start off by doing the short shifter and the upper air induction kit. The reason we're starting with those is this is actually located underneath the factory airbox. So if we're gonna remove parts of that anyways, we might as well install that then. We'll put the bottom section of the airbox back in and install this puppy on top. And then once my car thaws out, because it is -7 degrees here, we are going to do the dump valve as well as the turbo inlet. Let's get to it. So one quick thing before we get started that I really appreciate from companies is when they label the parts. So each of these silicone couplers is actually stamped with a number. The cool thing is with the install instructions that they include in this wonderful QR code, they do reference these numbers, which is really nice because in some of the install pictures, especially when you're like underneath the car, if like the front mount intercooler is a lot of different couplers, it can be easy to choose the wrong one. So it's cool that we have that in front of us. Also, just the cool little swag they send. So even like the dump valve comes with like a nice little keychain right in the foam. Damn, merch at another level. Yeah, they sent us a bunch of cool stickers. Got a little lanyard here with the beer bottle opener. Might need that later depending on the install goes. I am gonna show you guys us taking pieces off. So even like the engine cover, pretty self-explanatory, it just pops off. But just so you know where to pull, what not to do, what to do, we're gonna get into it. All right, in order to sing along with us, you're gonna need some tools. Here's what we got. For the short shifter, we are gonna need a 7, 10, 12, and 16 mil socket. You're gonna need a flathead screwdriver or a pry tool. We have both. And some long-nosed pliers. I hope these are long enough. If they're not, we'll find some that work. It also is asking for a 16 millimeter crescent wrench or a spanner. We don't have one, so we're gonna figure that out. And for the upper air induction kit, we are going to need a 7 mil, a 10 mil, a Phillips head screwdriver, and a 3 mil Allen head. So the first thing I'm gonna do is pop the bonnet. That's the hood. So one thing that is a little bit of a pet peeve is this whole thing. I need some hood struts. If you guys feel the same way about your GR Corolla, let me know. I'm gonna look into it, see what we can do about this situation. So you're gonna wanna make sure the car is off of this. Duh. But the first thing I'm gonna do is remove this lovely radiator shroud cowl thing. So these are just gonna be little push pots, that's what I like to call them. And for that, we're just gonna use a flathead screwdriver or pry tool. It's a little thick, so I'm just gonna get a little thinner one, so don't break any. All right, we got those unclipped. We're gonna go ahead and pull this bad boy out of here and put this on a safe location. Next up is going to be removing this snorkel kind of thing. So for this, we're just gonna remove these two guys here. So I have spotted our linkage down there. I see it from here. Clear as day, we're gonna have to remove the airbox. But I already knew that because Forge Motorsport's instructions are so informative. They let us know ahead of time. Thanks, boys and girls. The car knows when the hood is open, it's texting me. It's like, yo, your hood's open. I should text it back. All right, so the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go and unplug the MAF here. There we go. The Phillips head screw for this hose clamp is actually underneath and facing this way. So rather than try to screw around next to all this stuff, I'm just gonna take this one off because we have to take it off anyways for the air intake. So I'm just gonna push this PCV or some sort of vacuum line over. Same with this one here. See that yellow marking on it where it goes into some sort of retainer. And then I will undo that and we'll see what else we got going on. She's out of there. I'm gonna take this clamp off before it falls in my engine bay. Whoa! Ah! All right, next up we are going to remove this plug here for this solenoid of sorts. And then this vacuum line. Oh yeah, baby. Look at this nice tool tray up here, boys. It was pretty handy actually. Oh, there's just a little retaining tab on this side. Look at that. Toyota, you've done it again, but you zip tied it. All right, I'm bringing the little pry tool in here. This looks like it should just pop off, just like my parties back in high school. Oh yeah, there we go. Just gonna loop this around there so it's out of the way. Oh, one more. Okay. I'm not used to plastic coming off and not breaking. You know, Subarus tend to do that. All right, so we have the factory airbox removed. We can see the shifter linkage, clear as day. Look how shiny that is. So I'm following along with Forge Motorsport's install guide here, and it looks like this is actually adjustable. If you prefer to have a longer or shorter shift, you can actually adjust this to kind of dial in exactly where you want it to be. I don't want like a little like baby dinky shift. I want to make sure that I know what gear I'm going into. So this will give me that adjustability that I crave. And it's black and red, just like the logos. You gotta match the logos. Looks like we're gonna remove this red piece and insert these parts in here. So it appears as though, I'm gonna toss this in here. Oh, look at that. So the hex width is actually the same as this machine part, so I don't need to use any sort of tool inside there. I'm just gonna go ahead and tighten this part down. And it looks like, according to them, if I want a shorter shift, I'm going to go outside from the center. And if I want a little bit longer, I'm just gonna go inside. So I might start off with it right in the middle. The cool part is we don't need to put this in, put the airbox back in, and then test it out. We can actually just install this here and then get inside the cabin and see how we like the throw. If we wanna adjust it a little bit, we'll just come right back outside, adjust it, try it again. So I'm just gonna start off with it right in the middle and just see how we like it. I might just leave it there because like I said, I don't want it to be too short. All right, so there's actually like a handy little seam here, just for fun. Let's go ahead and measure this throw here. So I have this right in the seam between the upper dash and lower dash piece. So it's just about 17.5 centimeters to that little pinpoint on the top of the shifter. If I go into third gear, we drop down to just under 13.5, so maybe like 134 millimeters. And then if we go back to fourth gear, it's just over 22, so maybe like 222 millimeters. So let's go ahead and see how we do with the short throw shifter in the middle position. So we're gonna go ahead and remove this strange looking cotter pin type of thing. I'm gonna put this up here. I don't think we're gonna need that anymore, but just for fun, put it up there. Got a little washer, and then this comes out. So we're gonna go ahead and put the short shifter in here. Now it doesn't note whether to use the washer or not that we took off. If I push on this a little bit, it does seem like there's enough room for it. And rather than having this on there loose, I do feel as though I'd like it to be tight. So I'm just gonna put this on there. Instead of using like a pin, they actually have this really nice side retaining clip. So yeah, that's nice and tight on there. And I still have a little bit of room, so if I do need to move this around, I can. So I was thinking if we do want to adjust this after we get it in there without taking this retainer off, we can, but you'd have to have a very, very small 16 mil in order to retain that. So we're just gonna go ahead and install it. So it looks as though this, you're just gonna wanna watch up here because it touches a little bit, is gonna slide over here. And then this is tight. We just went ahead and like mocked it up really quick prior before. It's hard to see it in the video, but this is a flat plane and the top of this is a flat plane, but it actually slopes up. This isn't gonna sit like flat on it. You really just want this top plane to sit flat. And this is actually just a groove to allow for that ramp, if you will, to fit nicely in there. We're gonna go ahead and put that red retaining piece on here that had like that cotter pin, and we're gonna put the pin right at the top. So at this point, we're gonna put this final piece on here. So this actually just screws into the inner threads of our short shifter, and then we're gonna use a cotter pin to go through the factory pin hole on this little guy here in order to lock it in. So we're gonna go hand tight, and then we're just gonna finish it off with the 16 mil wrench. So I lined up 2 of the slits in this crown with the factory hole. So we got that bad boy in there. We're gonna go inside the cabin of the car, measure our throws, and hopefully come up shorter. And I think at this point, like I said, I put it right in the middle. I don't want it too short, I don't want it too, really just too short, I don't want it too short. Okay, so the first thing that we noticed is, like we measured before, when it was in neutral with the factory piece, it was at about 17.5 centimeters. So I did notice that this actually shifted it back about like 8 millimeters. Having it closer to me as a driver is probably good. I mean, 8 mil is not, I don't think I'm gonna notice it. We're gonna go forward. We're about 15.5, just over that, so like 156 mil. And then if we go into 4th gear, we're at about 21.4. So we're gonna do some math. We'll put it below in the screen here, just so you guys can see the distance that has changed. At this point, I'm gonna put my shift knob back on and just see how I like the feel of it. And then if I do wanna adjust it all, we'll do that at this point. That feels good. So if that is your install for the day, you're done. You're just gonna go ahead and put your factory airbox back in, vacuum lines, plug in your solenoid, your MAF, you're good to go. But we're diving a little deeper. So next up, the carbon fiber upper air induction kit. All right, so I actually wanted to take a moment just to show you that little solenoid I was talking about. So as you can see here, this actuator actually opens up this flap to allow more air into the intake. So that's a cool little feature. That's why I like this kit, is because it retains this. Obviously, if you had a like typical cone filter, cold air intake, or short ram intake, you wouldn't need this because it's just open to the engine bay. And most of those do have shrouds to keep a lot of the hot air out. But I do like the fact that this retains Toyota's design for the air intake. So where it gets air from, how much it allows in. I think it's a cool kind of feature because the Gazoo race team, they thought of it. So, you know, it's gotta be something. So the first thing we're gonna do is just remove these, just like we're taking the filter out. Look at that spicy filter, looking like a Dorito. So we're just gonna go ahead and put this bad boy back. So we can see that there's a couple different ball joints that are gonna slide in here. 1, 2, 3. I'm just gonna go ahead and line those up. All right, cool. Great. Step 1 done. So even though we just covered up our sweet, sweet short shifter bling, we're on to new heights here. We are gonna go ahead and plug this back in, and then I'm gonna route this back over yonder. Boop, 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 boop. We're gonna go ahead and move our MAF over from the factory upper airbox to our new Forge Motorsport. So good looking, just like me. So we're gonna go ahead and just loosen these 2 Phillips head screws. And they actually supply an O-ring. I'm assuming because this is carbon fiber and it is more rigid than the factory plastic, we just want an extra little bit of gasket or flex to it. Whoa. And then they also supplied some Allen key hardware. So we're just gonna go ahead and put this right on here, like butter. This is gonna go on the same orientation as the factory one. You can see the arrow there showing the airflow. So we don't wanna put it this way. We definitely wanna put it like this. And we're gonna go ahead and just hand tighten these for now. And then I'll get my Allen key and go the rest of the way. So I don't know how versed you are in installing parts, but usually I just like to tension both a little bit before I fully tighten them down and make sure everything's lining up nice. So just one thing to note, this shouldn't sit all the way flush with these metal spacers. As I tightened it, I noticed that it was getting like a little like skewed, but there's a lot of tension on this plastic piece across the points. So I just left a little bit of room in there. It is very flush. I'm not worried about air getting in or escaping there, but just something to notice. All three of these hose clamps are the same. So I'm just gonna grab one of these. We are gonna open up our Forge cone filter. Oh, actually, look at that. They already put the correct hose clamp on there for us. Thanks, Forge. Champions. But cool filter. It's kind of got that dual element where there's that one up front, convex one, and then the side. So this is gonna go right on the bottom of the upper air box. And then I'm gonna make sure that I can find our 7mm hex. There she is, in order to tighten this down. So if you couldn't tell by now, this thing is absolutely beautiful. I really love just the fit finish, mostly finish of this. It just looks awesome. The fitment is great as well. I mean, everything just goes together really nicely. Very excited to put this in the car, which we're about to do. So, we talked before. I love that these are labeled and numbered. It's really cool. We actually don't need both of these. We just need one. And the really cool part is it comes with both. So the smaller one is going to be the reducer that we use for the factory turbo inlet. The larger one will be used if we were to upgrade to Forge Motorsport's hard turbo inlet, which we are going to. We're actually going to do that at a different stage, a different day. We're just running out of time. We're going to keep this handy because we're going to need it later. So for now, we're going to do the factory one just in case you have a factory one. We're here with you. We're doing it. So we're gonna go ahead and put the smaller factory coupler on. This went on really nice and easy. The other cool part too, I was able to just like put my hand inside and kind of force it over the factory inlet, and then I have one of the clamps on there. I didn't tension it down yet, just in case I have to like move it or jiggle it a little bit. So we're gonna go ahead and put the other clamp on, then the factory air box before we tension these down. In case I just said factory air box, I meant this beautiful thing. All right, I got another clamp on there, and let's see how we do here. First go. As suspected with most of these silicone couplers, it's hanging up a little bit on the bottom. I am just going to slowly rotate this in place as I line the airbox up with the bottom half. And as we start to get this on there and it gets the right angle, it is gonna wanna go and slip on a lot easier. So I'm just gonna kind of move this around a little bit, just rotate it, just make sure that this isn't tensioning it strangely. But so far, it seems like everything is enjoying where it is. I heard a nice click when I line this up, so I'm gonna go ahead and just put the factory snaps back on the front. The back is gonna insert into those two rectangular retainers. So this looks good, it feels good. I'm happy with it. They do make a really cool carbon fiber snorkel for the GR Yaris, Forge Motorsport does. They don't have one available for the Corolla yet. I'm sure they're gonna be working on one for the GR Corolla, but for now, we still have this factory piece to look at, and we are gonna put our factory snorkel back on. But I'm sure, like I said, that Forge Motorsport is working on a carbon fiber front snorkel for this. I am super excited to use. Well, what a rager. We got through that together, so I appreciate you sticking with us. I did want to go over what parts we should have extra, just in case you lost anything in there. So we should have obviously our factory upper air box, the clamps for it, 1 and 2. We should have our MAF screws in there, in case you want to hold on to this for whatever reason. Nostalgia. We should have our factory air filter. I took this off myself. This is the MAF plug that used to buckle into here. You can keep it on there, you can take it off. I took mine off. We have our larger silicone coupler. This will be for when we do the turbo inlet, the additional worm clamp. And last but not least, we have our little pin from our short shifter install, which I'm going to keep. Thank you guys once again. We're gonna go out and test drive this. So we're gonna throw some clips in, but yeah, actually we're probably gonna film my reaction after. and then we'll do the outro. Oh. Shifter feels good. It actually feels like a little stiffer than before. I don't know if it's just because there's like a little extra tension on it with that additional shifter piece, but it feels good. It feels shorter for sure, but yeah, it almost feels like tighter, which I like. So yeah, initial thoughts, it sounds great. It sounds like a cone filter, like short ram intake. Like I said, I do really like the fact that it uses that lower air box that has the flap that opens up to allow more air to come in. But yeah, you get all the noises. I do feel like there's like more blow-off noise. What do you think, Jordan? Yeah. I know you're not in the car every single day, but it does seem like it's more apparent. Maybe it's like a placebo effect. Still warming the car up here, but we're gonna get some clips of it in cabin as well as outside and see what you guys think.
It's gonna leave me on the side of the road.
So like I said, the car is still, I want to give it a little time before I absolutely romp on it, but I'm just going to get into boost a little bit, let you guys know how it sounds. Should I open my window a little bit? I'm just going to get window noise. Yeah, let's just roll through some gears and see what we think. It sounds throatier. Like it definitely sounds like it has that deeper sound to it. I do think the blow off noise is a little more apparent. It might be coming through the intake, which usually they do with the cone filter stuff. You kind of get a little bit of a whistle. I definitely hear a whistle lower down, and then once it gets into the higher RPMs, I don't hear that same like intake whistle anymore. We didn't go into redline. I think we had like 5k RPMs was the highest we got. Once we get like I said, some tuning stuff down, we'll be able to see exactly what improvements we have from it. I do just want to note, I am an expert driver, as you can see by my dash here. I'm in expert mode right now, so just be aware. It's pretty serious. So we are just going to show off the I manual transmission. So this is like the rev match when you downshift. I'm in 4th gear right now, so it is like spot on, like right where you want it to be, which is pretty wild. So I'm not touching the gas at all. Yeah, we'll do it again as we pull in here. All right, so no foot on the gas. My just initial feedback, it felt good. It sounds good, it feels good, so I'm super excited about it. So today, we didn't get around installing our turbo inlet or our dump valve, but we will be doing that very soon. So be on the lookout for that, hopefully in the next like week or so. And then shortly after that, our front end intercooler. So I do want to give a huge thank you to Forge Motorsport as well as Matthew at Forge Motorsport USA. Thank you guys so much for working with us. I'm very excited to carry your products on our website as well as install more on our car. Like I said, the fit, the finish, especially the instructions are super clear, very intuitive. So thank you guys so much. Appreciate you as well as everyone watching this video. If you guys want to check out any of these parts, we're gonna have them right on our website. If you guys want to see other parts or other manufacturers, please comment below. We want to see what you guys would like to watch. We do have more parts coming from Forge, from other vendors, so be on the lookout. And until then, stay in boost.